My menopause is making me feel crazy. I feel as if I'm losing the plot. I can be snappy and shout for no good reason. I can be impulsive and irrational. I sometimes wonder if my vagina is going to shrivel and I will become like an old crone. Fuck not drinking coffee. I need coffee to keep me going. Cold water swimming. I'm a stereotypical middle-class woman. I feel great some days, like I'm in my sexual prime. I have power between my thighs and I know how to feel good. I want to run and dance and sing and shout. I am alive. I want to make the most of my time on earth before I wither away like an old crone. I am flaring up like a flashing beacon. Hear me roar, because I won't be ignored. I love myself.
My symptoms were quite prominent. I mean, it definitely disrupted the quality of my sleep.
I assumed it would be straightforward. I was absolutely shocked when I experienced the debilitating symptoms of perimenopause through to menopause.
I was in my early 40s and I kept going to the GP and saying, this is happening and this is happening. And just repeat, oh no, you're too young, that doesn't fit this description we have of it. Go away.
It also affected my mood and, levels of concentration.
You'll walk into the kitchen and think, what did I come for? You just can't think of the next word that's going to come out of your mouth. It hit me like a bag of hammers.
But it made us feel really old. And you just think you've gone suddenly from your womanhood to the other side of it, where is it all shrivelling up and, going downhill a little bit.
The symptoms also affected everyday relationships and my work and stuff, with bouts of impatience and short-temperedness and so on.
My decision to take early retirement was because of what I was going through. I couldn't concentrate. I was making mistakes. I couldn't send emails properly. It was just absolutely awful. And I was also becoming anxious and rather depressed as well.
And the hot sweats were really difficult to deal with until the GP put me on HRT. So, overall it was a fairly kind of traumatic time.
I just had like a couple of years of sweats and that was it, but during the day and that was me. I know, and I feel really guilty about that when I hear other women's stories about, and I'm thinking, well, that never really happened to me. I just kind of sailed through it and it just came out the other end.
The symptoms and the lack of advice and, the lack of public debate made me feel quite abnormal, as if I was going through something that wasn't really a natural process.
I think also lack of self-esteem, I got that problem.
Yeah, lack of self-esteem. You kind of feel, oh, maybe you are the only one.
But I am a proactive person, so I did my own research.
Yeah.
And I've got a really good GP now, but women go through the natural menopause. Some women still really suffer terribly.
Oh, absolutely.
I used to have underarm hair, loads, but now I look and I think there's anything there. Unless it's just my eyesight, maybe. So.
No, that's definitely.
But eyesight is a good thing, isn't it?
It is great.
Yes, I love the fact that I can't really see anything anymore.
We try to look at menopause as taboo. we don't freely talk about them.
I found it quite difficult to talk to my mum about the symptoms. This may be a generational thing, and I didn't feel comfortable discussing it with friends either, which is quite strange when you look back. But I think, you know, for our generation, there has been some kind of hesitancy about discussing the menopause.
I associate the menopause with probably negative things, negative symptoms, maybe because of my mum's experience, because I think she did find it quite hard. And
I think other people think what's wrong with you. It's not what's happening to you, it's what's wrong with you, which is quite offensive at times, because you're saying there isn't anything wrong, it's just the process I'm going through, but they make you feel, I shouldn't be feeling this way, and then you try to feel normal, but this is the normal for you at that stage of your life, really.
I've been in meetings at work where the joke, if you're you're going through the change or you're menopause, or
So we're dismissing you and what you're saying.
Like you should be ashamed of it, and it's used as an insult. What's the matter with you? You're menopausal.
We would joke about it and you know, don't mess with us kind of thing because we're menopausal, you know. And it was almost like suddenly we had some armour and
Just trying to make light of it all and not have that fear of not being able to talk about it, and having the confidence to be able to talk about it and say, look, I am menopausal and I am going, you know, my body is changing, and this is just me and what it's about.
But I've had discussions with friends, and somebody would say, you are feeling like that because of this, and my other friend would say her own experience. I remember one of my friends told me that I normally lose my temper often than I used to, especially with the children. So I was eager to learn new ways of people, how people live with these changes, how accommodative they are, because of course sometimes they are very challenging.
Good friend, she said, you can go to the doctors and they can give you a test and they take blood and they can tell you if you're in the menopause. And I thought, I'll do that. So I went and I saw the GP and he asked why, and I said, well, I've been this. I says, and I think it may be the menopause and you can give us a test. And he went, you're probably right. And that was it. And I didn't get a test. That was all he said, you're probably right. And then I never went back because I thought, oh well, I was right then. So I just got on with it.
This young consultant, female, said to me, you know, more than 50% of the population of the world are women, and they're all getting on with it. So you just need to. I don't think you've heard me. I haven't slept for months. It's like we're getting through bedding at a horrendous way, and I can't function at work because I can't think and I can't remember.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just standing there delivering teaching, thinking, my God, I can't remember what I'm saying.
There's a lot of judgment around seeking help with the menopause, as in you're a failure, or, well, my mum, well, I sailed through it. Well, I know you did, Mum, but I haven't.
Good for you.
But you get that, I've had that off friends, like, oh, you just got to get through it. Actually, no, why should you?
And I think it's unfair when everybody's, you know, Google it, look online, do this, do that. Not everyone has got the ability to do that. You know, there's people with learning difficulties, disabled people who go through all these things as well. They're forgotten about almost because maybe they need the information brought to them. So the help should be out there.
There needs to be much more online information and advice. That advice needs to be set in the wider context of women's later lives, both as, you know, sort of workers, professionals and so on, but also as grandmothers and also as carers.
What about perimenopause?
That seems to be a new thing.
Doesn't it just?
Doesn't it? It's like, oh, well, you know, they invented that after I got through it. I didn't even know I had the perimenopause, so I missed out on the joys of it, but yeah.
It seems to be a bit mythical.
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever believed me that I was perimenopausal because I was too young. For years. And by the time they believed me, it was all over.
Yeah,
the whole thing. Oh yeah, you were right. Yeah, thanks.
Yes. I think it's just probably early stages. So I was saying my ears getting hot. I'm starting to get flashes, but it only lasts a couple of minutes, if that. It just kind of radiates my ears, and then I feel hot all over. But then I don't have them all the time. It's normally in the night time.
Yes,
Yeah.
for all that. Quilt off, quilt on.
Yeah.
Because it's quilt off, then quilt on because you got cold again, you know.
And then there's the danger it becomes medicalised rather than a natural thing. There's some people obviously need medical help and should have it, and GPs should be educated and know what to do. But then, I don't know, I guess I'm coming from my kind of easy menopause. I don't want to have a medical label.
In terms of remedies, I found nothing really worked. Not really.
For us, I've sort of changed so much of our house in terms of we always have fans on, we always have windows wide open. It's changed the environment because it has to be cooler and it has to be available when needed. You just think you're so restricted, aren't you, by the environment?
I found that avoiding alcohol helped, definitely, and also I adjusted the bedding to a light duvet to deal with the sweat.
The other thing I did is to have a small fan next to my bed. So whenever I woke up, I would just, and I was sweating, I would switch on the fan. And then I got a second fan so that when I go to another room, there is another fan there. It was so much because if everyone in the house would notice that I'm sweating, so everyone would say, what is happening? It's not even hot, but you're sweating. So I had to move with the fan in the TV room and sit there with my fan. I switch on, and everyone started saying, that's Mummy's fan, that's Mummy's fan. But,
and I also modified the type of clothing that I wore so that I could shed clothing when I was hot. I stopped dashing from A to B, running for buses and things like that. So I was giving myself much more time to move from one place to another, which was really important for avoiding sweating too much.
I started using a wet towel, small towel. So I would move with it and even use it in my bed. Like I cut myself with it.
Fred suggested to get the magnet pebble, I think it was called. Yeah. So I had a bash. So you put the magnet down your pants and the pebble bit on the front of the face case. And every time, which I kept forgetting it was down my pants, I went up to the filing cabinet. I just stuck to the filing cabinet, but it was a proper cling, you could hear. So, and it just didn't work anyway.
Some of my friends, it's definitely worked for them.
Has it?
So maybe it's
different people.
I love my ice pillow. It's got ice gel in it, so whenever you lay your head down at night, you can turn it over so it's not on the ice side, but it just cools your neck and cools the sweats down quicker. I have a fan on every night, winter and summer, and I have a nice pillow, and I sleep.
I rail against the way we're all conditioned to think it's an ending and it's a really bad thing and it's definitely going to be awful, and then you're just going to be a dried up husk afterwards.
We're sort of taught to hide away that ageing body, whereas actually, this body's carried you around for all these years. Can it not be celebrated?
Having that courage to be able to just stand up in a meeting and walk to a window and just stand there, wait until my hot flush had disappeared, and then come back and resume the meeting as if nothing had happened.
I think employers need to be informed about women's experiences of menopause. But, this is quite challenging. It needs to be done in a way that doesn't mark women out as a problem. So, how this should be done is a key challenge that needs to be dealt with very sensitively and in a very nuanced way.
I do feel I'm a totally different person now. I've accepted it, but if I can live a better future, I will.
Just having a level hormonal stroke emotional landscape, it's gone. It's gone.
My mood is more stable than it used to
Yeah.
be. I don't have the monthly mood swings or anything like that.
I don't stand for anything now. If I've got something to say, I'll say it, or I won't take shit anymore.
And I would say I push myself more, but that's a bit about women being invisible. when they hit the menopause, and it's about proving that actually you're not over the hill. So, you know, I did the Great North Run, I did the Great North Swim, I did all of that post-menopausal.
Trying to keep an active life. Like what?
Engage in activities.
Socialize.
Exactly.
When you say socialize, how?
Meet friends. Keep working if you are still able to.
I take a nap during the day, every day, especially after lunch. And I feel that makes me relax. I do my chores in the morning, I do a few things here and there, and after lunch, I immediately go to rest. I rest for about 45 minutes or an hour plus. And when I wake up, I feel relaxed, released, and I feel I can continue with the evening.
I'm thinking that at this time, that's when you need to make friends. Learn to make different kinds of friends, talk about different things, and have many of them around you.
I just think that the whole subject needs to be opened up. Women need to share their experiences of the medical profession, how the medical profession dealt with them. GPs need to be trained up to deal with the subject much more seriously and much more effectively.
When we get those hot flashes, when we get the mood swings, when we have anxiety, be active. Work in the garden.
When you share, when we work together as women, girls, we can support each other.
Maybe we will be that generation of women who do see that power, you know, retaking that crone image from sort of popular Disney films and to actually what it was really meant to be, which is women coming into their, you know, coming into their power, into that kind of age where, yeah, there's a sort of, I guess there's a freedom, isn't there?
Sunshine.
I found a new love, so that's why I painted love.
Have you recorded? Hairy chin.
Don't even remember what I did.